Hi, this is Ben from the CloudForest team. Today I'm going to be walking you through the installation of CloudForest as well as getting Docker up and running and performing some basic analyses in CloudForest. So to start off, you'll need to first have Docker installed on your computer. Docker is available for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and detailed installation instructions are available for each platform on the Docker website. So just you can head there to check out those instructions. I will be using Windows today, if you are a Windows user, you can follow along with me. Otherwise, the instructions for Mac and Linux should be fairly similar to what we're doing today. One important note: if you are using Windows, you will need to have the Windows subsystem for Linux integration on your computer. So today I'm going to be using Ubuntu through my Windows. And you'll need to have the Docker integration set up in Docker. Again, all instructions for all that can be found on the Docker website. So once you have Docker installed and up and running, you can go ahead and open your Ubuntu, in my case, Ubuntu instance. From here, we can I'll navigate to my desktop. And I have a CloudForest folder set up. Once we're here, you can go back to our tutorial and find the first command that we're going to run right here. So this is just a git clone command to clone the repository from GitHub to this folder. Today you're going to notice I'm going to be cloning a specific branch of the repository. That's just for the purposes of this tutorial. In general, the master branch should work fine. So we're going to run that command here, and we'll give that a second while it clones that repository. All right, so now that that is done, we can go ahead and navigate into the folder we just created, CloudForest Docker. And once we're there, we can come back to our tutorial and find the next command. Copy that. And again, this is going to be modified slightly just for this tutorial. In general, the latest tag is going to be what we'll be using as is present in the tutorial. So this command is going to create the Docker instance of CloudForest. This will take a second. So while this is running, we can talk about this Cypress Rest API. So this is what we're going to be using to remotely do inference using IQTree through CloudForest. If you don't already, you can create an account for the CRA, and you'll be using those credentials when we create the CloudForest instance in Docker. So make sure you have an account created through that. And yeah, so this will take a second, so we'll just wait a brief moment for this to be done, downloading and extracting. Okay, so now coming back here after we're done pulling the Docker image, you're going to notice that it's prompting us for our CRA credentials that we just created. So I'm going to go ahead and enter my credentials here. And with that, the CloudForest instance should be created. So we can now come back to Docker, and you'll see the CloudForest Docker container running. And from there, you can click this Open in Browser button. And that's going to bring you back to your browser. It's going to take a minute for this page, just about 10 or 15 seconds. And once this updates and the container gets up and running, we'll be officially in CloudForest. So while that's happening, for the tutorial today, we're going to be using a subset of some data to perform inference using the CRA. That data can be found, there's a link to it in the written tutorial, so you can get it there. And it's this data set here. So we'll just be using a few alignments from this data here to do some analyses. Okay, so now that the page has updated, we are now in CloudForest and we can go ahead and get started doing some analyses. So the first thing we're going to want to do is input the data that we're going to be using today. So we'll come here to the left side, click Get Data, and then Upload File. This will bring up a file browser window. We'll select Choose Local File here. And again, you can navigate to this data set that we just mentioned a second ago. And we'll just use a few alignments from here today. So we'll click Start Now, and that's going to start uploading all of these files, and you'll see them appearing in the History tab on the right there. Once those are all uploaded, we can close those out, and you'll see that CloudForest will start processing those files. So those will turn yellow as they're being processed, and once they turn green, that means they've been uploaded, they've been processed, and they're ready to use. So we'll just give it 1 second here to upload those data files. All right, perfect. So now that those are all uploaded, what we're going to do is want to create what's called a dataset collection. The reason we can do that is so that we can perform inference on all these files at the same time instead of doing it one by one. So that's just to make things a little bit more convenient. So we'll click this Operations on Multiple Dataset checkbox here. We can select all of the files, and for all selected, we're going to want to build a dataset list. So we can then enter a name for the list here, and I'll just enter okay, and you can see, so that's going to create a collection here with all of our data sets inside of it. So once we have that collection, what we can do is go back to CloudForest, and we're now going to perform tree inference on all 5 of those alignments. So we can come back to CloudForest here. We'll select the Treescaper CRA tool, and for the collection of sequence alignments, we will select the alignment collection that we just created here. The tool we're going to use is IQTree. You can modify any of these parameters as you see fit. For now, we're just going to leave everything default. The type of analysis, we're going to be doing just a non-parametric bootstrap today. And just for time's sake, we'll just do 1 bootstrap per alignment. And so now we're going to click Execute, and executing is going to send all of those alignments to the Cypress Rest API. It's going to do bootstrap analysis on each alignment and then send those results back to us. So you'll see that the entries on the right here become yellow as the job's in progress. Those will stay yellow until the job is complete, and once they turn green, you'll know that you have all the trees and everything is ready to go. So this will take a second depending on the size of your data sets, the number of bootstraps you're performing. So the compute time will vary based on your experience. Here it should be pretty quick, so we'll just give it a second while this goes through. Okay, so coming back here now, you can see that all the jobs on the right have turned green. And if we come and view our data here, we can see our output list of 5 trees. So that was one for each input file we had. And coming back here, we can see all of those listed out kind of in order as well. So each tree for each data set here. So there we go. We now have a list of trees that we've inferred from a collection of input files. From here, we can now move on to do any number of things within CloudForest. You can use these trees in the NLDR tutorial that we have and that we have a video for as well. So you can visualize these trees using NLDR. We'll have upcoming tutorials for performing community detection on these trees, and we have additional visualizations coming to visualize different aspects of these tree sets coming as well. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Feel free to reach out and contact us if you have any questions while going through this process. And stay tuned for some more tutorials and more content from the CloudForest team.